I just woke up, clearly. I just need to get this dream out of my head. I haven't had a really long dream in a really long time. And it's just like it's buzzing in my head, right? I've been binge watching Prison Break, and then I watched like two different kind of Cinderella movies, so I think my brain kind of combined the two with the characters or something. So as far back as I could think, there was like a family barbecue or something, like a family party, and I had like exciting news that I had like bumped into someone. Like, I wanted to like share with my family like how handsome this man was and how he actually like was sounding like interested in someone like me. The guy is sexy motherfucker, right? Um, so I went to this family gathering and I was trying to tell my family, and then somebody in the family worked at a hospital, and so they were like doing interviews for doctors, and he was like, oh, he said, I think she was supposed to be my mom, right? So it was like Cinderella, so it was like the mom and then the two sisters. And he was like, oh, I forgot what he called her, and he was like, oh, check this out, I had an interview and one of the doctors is really good looking, I think you can snag him. And I'm like if it was weird, and I had already like kind of I shown certain people. I didn't get to like the whole family for some reason. Like anytime you start talking to someone, you want to you share it with your family. So before I got to like the main people, because there was like a lot of people there for some reason, um, we all was like gathering, and he was like, look, this is the doctor that I interviewed last night. Um, and it was the guy that I was talking about. And so like it turned into this weird thing where they were like plotting to get him married with one of my sisters, hence the Cinderella thing. And I'm like, all my emotions in my dreams are like times 10. So instead of just kind of walking out the house, ignoring their whole plan, and kind of just leaving, I like make a scene and I get all upset, and they're like, why would he be even interested in you in the first place? um you don't have that great of a job. Like, they were kind of like rubbing it, and they're like, oh, you're just an artist, he doesn't care, he's a fucking doctor, he's gonna want someone more, whatever. And he was like, the guy that interviewed him, he was like, yeah, that's why I didn't even mention it to you, whatever, blah blah blah. And so like it got into like a big argument, and I left the house, and I was just like, fuck you guys. So I left, and I was crying, and just kind of, I couldn't hold it in. Like, all the tears were just like flowing out of my body. So I'm like walking down this street, and it's like the end of the day, so like a lot of kids are coming out of school, and I'm like, fuck, I need to like walk the other direction. So as I'm trying to like walk away from the direction of all like the kids in the school and stuff, I'm like doing this, and I'm trying to wipe my face, and I bang into somebody, and like it's like waterfalls coming out of my face. And when I turn around, guess who it is? It's the doctor, right? And I'm like, oh my god, it's you. And he's like, oh, it's you, nice seeing you again. Picking up a kid. And I'm like, no. He's looking at me, and he's like, I'm here looking for my brother, are you all right? I'm like, I'm fine. I'm like, I gotta go. And like I walk away. And as I'm like walking away, I turn around, and I'm like, I'll bump into you another time. So he's like, no, come and talk, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. Like trying to like him in the distance, and I almost get hit by a car because I'm about to freaking across the street without looking. And I turn around and I see the car. Like, it was supposed to be a stop sign, but the motherfucker was going to eat the stop sign. And so it was just like this little weird random part where he like twilighted me, if that makes any sense, where it's where he saves Bella from the car. Like, I'm like this and I'm like, oh my god, like it was like within seconds. I'm like, I'm about to get hit by a car, and my brain is like totally ready to like impact on the car, and I'm like, oh fucking hell. And then I feel someone like grab me from behind and like push me forward, and we like run forward, and that's when the car like hits the brakes, and it kind of like it almost hits the doctor, and I'm like, oh shit, what just happened? So he puts me down and he's like, oh my god, are you okay? And he's like, you know, checking up on me, and he's like what's wrong? And I'm like, nothing, I'm fine. He's like, why were you crying so much? And I'm like, it's nothing, don't worry about it. Are you okay? Like, we almost got hit. And we kind of like, I can't remember the whole conversation, but we had like a little bit of a kind of talk about like our first bumping in, and then we bump into each other again or whatever. And then I turn around and like I keep crying. I keep freaking crying. And I end up, where did I go? I was crying and I think I ended up on like a dock or something. Yeah, like I'm trying to envision it. It was like at the end of like the village or the town or something, and there was like this dock, and it was like a W. It was like a squared kind of W thing, and I was like in the middle, and I just stood there, and then like it skips, and I see him again, but this time we're like on our first date type of thing. It felt like a date, but at the same time it was kind of like a just want to hang out. So I wasn't sure, maybe because I was unsure that someone attractive like that could be interested in me. So I was like, I don't know. And our first date was on the dock, and we were just like kind of talking, but I can't remember what we were talking about. All I can remember is like me laughing and him laughing, and just like him looking at me in the way I would look at someone when I start to like crush on them, you know? And in my head I'm like, there's no way he's looking at me that way. So it skips, and I keep having like tiny scenes like that, like of little mini clips of us like at a restaurant, and then like on a dance floor at like a jazz club, and then somewhere else and somewhere else and somewhere else. I can't remember all of them. And then there were scenes where like I'm chilling at his house, and like he lives in like a big house, and his parents live with him because they can't afford it by themselves. You know, he's a big doctor, so he doesn't mind. And I'm like, I don't mind either, it's fine. So after like a couple minutes of like just flashing scenes, there's like the dream slows down to where I can keep up, and we're chilling in his room, and we're just like cuddled up and booed up, and we're just talking, and like he's like whispering things, and you know, making me giggle, and he's holding me and all that cute shit, right? All the cute little things, right? And then like he gets up, and I'm just laying on the bed, and I'm like, there's no fucking way, this is insane. He comes, it's like it skips to like the next morning, and he's off, like something's weird. He's like extremely hyper, like hyper, and I'm like, you woke up with a lot of energy today. But he's like not talking like the doctor that I know. Like he's talking like he's a 12-year-old or something stuck in a man's body, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm looking at him, and he's like, oh, I gotta go and get my stuffed toy, and then when I go get my stuffed toy, I gotta watch my favorite movie, and then I gotta watch my favorite show, and then I have to have breakfast, and then after breakfast I gotta go get my stuffed toy again. And I was like, what? And I'm like, now I'm trying to remember his name. I'm just gonna say the name from like Prison Break, which I think is Michael, right, from Prison Break. Because I wish I could remember his name of what I was calling him in the dream. Sometimes I can remember names and sometimes I can't. So I'm calling him and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, well, why are you being so weird? And he's like, I'm not weird, you're being weird. And I'm like, and I call him again, and he looks at me like if he doesn't recognize me at all. And I'm like, what's going on? And so his mother comes running to the room, and she's like in a panic, and she's like this, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And she, plot twist, and she's like, I'm so sorry, we were trying to hide this from you, not everyone can handle this, he's a little special. And I'm like, what is he got, like split personality? Like, what the fuck is going on? And she's like, we're not sure what it is. So we don't live with him, he lives with us. And yes, he's a doctor, but we have to monitor because there's something wrong with his brain. When he gets like this, it's because he couldn't take his pills for 2 days. And like 2 days is like his cap of how long he can go before his brain switches on him. And when it does, he doesn't remember. So he doesn't know that he's like this. And I'm like, the fuck? And I'm like, so why hasn't he taken it for 2 days? I don't understand. And she's like, oh, it's just the doctor. That's how they prescribe it. They can only give us like so many pills every month or whatever. And I'm like, oh. So like it skips, and there are like scenes where we have our good days, right? Where we're together and he's the doctor that I met, and he's the sweet and loving guy. And then it'll skip between that and like him running around the house like a child and him going nuts. And I'm like, and so I'm guessing it's like a little over a year that we've been like dating. And there was this last one where he was off his pills and I couldn't take it anymore, and I felt really bad because I was trying really hard to like be that person, and I'm like, I love you so much, but this is really hard for me. And I'm like, something's going on. Like, I'm like, if you're a really good doctor, maybe if you knew what was wrong with you, you can figure out how to help yourself a little more. Like, is this really the best? Like, what is actually wrong with your brain? The plot thickens. It gets really like sideways. So after like that scene, like he had like a really bad off day, and he was like throwing tantrums, and he like threw stuff at me, and like I was like, I can't do this. And the mother was like, it's okay, I understand. And she's like almost happy that I'm saying this. Like, she's like, don't worry, we'll take care of him as we always have. No woman can ever replace his mommy, And I'm like, all right. So I go to the room to get like my things, and he has like a fresh pack of the pills because they had just came in, right? So it's like the last 2 days of the month. He's only getting 28 pills, right? For some reason, that number came into my head. And so I pick up and I'm like, why is the doctor only giving him 28 pills? He's supposed to have 30. I don't know why that came to my head. And then I rolled the pill bottle, and it says doctor prescription for something something, and on the bottom corner it was like 30 tablets. And I'm like, it says 30 on here. I'm like, are they not giving, like, what's going on? So I put the cat back, and I walk out the house, and like my brain is like fooling me, and every door I open leads to another room in the house. After like 5 minutes of like feeling like I'm stuck in a maze, I like pull his brother aside, and I'm like, which door is to outside? I need to get the fuck out of this house. So he's like, it's this one. He like leads me down this spiral stairs. He's like, there you go. Go straight down and to your right. That's the front entrance. And I'm like, thank you. And so I walk out and I leave the house, and it's like this weird, uncomfortable feeling of like something's not right. They're doing something to him. And in my dream, it's like a few weeks have passed, and I've got like missed calls on my phone and texts, and he's like freaking out. And so I don't know why I didn't just tell him. Like, he's a grown adult. Like, he deserves to know that he's got issues, right? So I'm like, after like, I think it was like maybe 3 weeks, I was like, I go back to the house, and the mom is like, oh, did you forget something? And I'm like, no, I want to speak to him. And she's like, well, he's having one of his off days. And I'm like, that's off schedule. That's 1 day extra than, you said it was only 2 days. And she's like, well, yeah, sometimes. I'm like, sometimes when? He's never had an extra day of off time. What's going on? And he's starting to act a little bit more kid-like. It's like it's getting worse, right? The more days he goes without it, the younger his brain gets. And I tried to like reach out to him without like the medication. And I hold his hand, and I'm like, please tell me you remember me. And he's like, yeah, sure. You're that lady. And I'm like, what lady? And he's like, you're the lady from the TV. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. So I go back into the kitchen, and he's like doing a full mockery mayhem in the living room. And I'm looking at his mother, and she's like cooking something. And for some reason, like everything snaps in my head. It's like it calculates everything. It's just like, it's her fault. She's doing something to him. Like, I'm looking around, and I'm like, it's like the illusion completely like fades away. The plot gets thicker, right? So I'm like, what the fuck? And the dad comes in, and he's like, you alright? Is everything okay? And I'm like, you're doing this to him. And she's like, doing what, dear? And I'm like, it's your fault why he has off days. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, where's the other 2 pills? And she's like, other 2 pills? And I look at the dad, and the dad is like, oh, he sees that I'm catching on. So I grab the pills, and I'm like, the last time I came, you had a fresh bottle that hasn't been opened. I opened the bottle, and I counted 28 pills, but there's supposed to be 30. How is that possible? It's supposed to be straight from the doctor and unopened, and yet is missing 2 pills. She's like, oh, sometimes he misplaces them or whatever. Like, she's not looking at me at all. And so I smack her hand and smack the spoon out of her hand, because she's like making a pot of soup or something. And she looks at me, and I'm ready to like throw hands with this fucking older woman, because she's pissing me off. And I'm like, how can you do this? This is your child. And she's like, exactly. He's my child. Like, she gave me that I'm in love with my son kind of vibe. Like, that feeling of she wants him to need her forever, and no one will ever be good enough, because he's so handsome, even though like I don't know if she's ever done anything to him. I'm hoping not, but like that's the kind of weird vibe that I was getting, that this is how fucked up she is. And she's like, you have no idea because you don't have any kids. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. You don't have to be a parent to know that this is fucked up to do to another human being, let alone your own child. How are you purposely having him miss his medication? And she like goes on a rant, and she's like starts screaming and yelling. And out of nowhere, like I can't really hear what she's like saying because I'm so mad that I don't even want to listen to her voice. Like I don't care what she has to say. So as she's screaming and yelling, I'm looking around the house to see if I can find, I don't know if it's like a collection of all the 2 pills that she's been hoarding or something to show me. I don't know what I was looking for, but I was looking for something. And then he comes into the kitchen and he's like, Mom, what's wrong? Why are you yelling? And Dad is like, oh, don't worry, go to the living room, whatever, right? And then I find like this little corner with like these little candles, these black candles, and they're like in a triangle. They're halfway burnt. Now, I don't know why my dream made me bite the candle. It was weird. However, something was like bite the candle and then blow the smoke, and then the smoke will reveal everything. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that's gross, but okay. So I'm going around, I take the candle and I'm like, where is it? Where is it? Where are the pills? Why have you been hiding them? What have you been doing? I go back into the kitchen and he's like on his rocking chair and his mom is like petting his head. She's like, it's okay, Michael, don't worry. Mama's here. And the dad is like, here, buddy, go, here's your toy or whatever. I crunch down and I bite the tip of the candle and I chew on it and smoke starts coming out of my mouth. And then there's like a narrator and it's like, only the people with the power of magic can make smoke come out without fire, right? I'm like, okay. So I'm blowing and the smoke is coming out and it's filling up and the room completely changes. Like everything completely changes. The house, I'm not gonna lie, the house looked cool. Like it was like gothic as fuck. Like it wasn't this pristine, all-American white picket fence house anymore. Like it was like a black and like brown. And it didn't look like a witch house. It looked kind of like a vampire house, kind of. But it didn't give me like they're vampires or something. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then that's when I see the mom is blowing smoke in his face. And I'm like, and the dad is blowing smoke in the air. And then they turn around and look at me. And I'm like, and then I blow the smoke at them. And then it says it out loud. Like there's like a voice that's like, only the people that with the power of magic can blow smoke without fire. And I'm like, you're a bunch of fucking witches, motherfucker. I'm like, how can you do this? And she grabs his head and like presses it to her bosom and she's like, he is mine and he will always be mine. And there's nothing you can do about it, little witch. You think you have power. And I'm like, bitch, I don't need power. I could beat your ass right here, right now, old lady. And the dad is like, don't worry about her. Like he's like doing this to my face, talking to the mom, and is like, don't worry about her. She can't do anything. She won't do anything. And I'm like, huh. So I turn around and I spit the candles out on the floor and I write a note. And I guess I enchant the note. Like, it's weird how, like, my brain is like, oh, now we're a bunch of witches and shit. But it's like, if this is where it was, it should have had, I don't know, like, it'd be nice if, like, my little like witch sense was going off of why we couldn't like hang out on certain days, or why it took so long for me to be able to come to the house or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like there should have been something to be like, you know, like the little tingles, like spidey tingles, like something's not right here, babes, catch on. I'm guessing it's because of that feeling of being in love, where it's like love is blind, so you don't really want to see things even though you feel something's wrong, and you're like, no, this is too good to be true. It was. However, right, so you know, I walk away and I go to write a note, and I know she's gonna find it, so I don't really say what I want to say. I think about writing like another one that only he would know where to find. You know, like he may be like heartbroken, like when his normal self comes back and he realized I haven't called, I haven't texted, kind of just like disappeared, you know. And it's like, oh, women are always doing this, they're always just leaving me without telling me, so he like feels like he's never gonna be, you know. So I leave like a weird note, and it says, always be kind, remember who you are, I will always be here if you need me. Right? And so that's like the decoy note, right? So then the other note is like, when you come back and you find out the truth of what they've been doing to you, come find me. Because apparently I guess they were too strong for me to fight back, with like the magic levels that I had. I don't know. I've also been playing Harry Potter a lot, the Hogwarts Legacy, so that might also have a play into it. So, and it's like, it's weird because it's like, how can I put it, like the note, once he finds that note and he finishes reading it, the words change to tell him where I will be and where to meet me. And it took a minute for him to find it, right? I was like, I don't know why, I was like, I'm giving him 6 months. So I took the note and I placed it in a specific drawer that only me and him know about. So left it there, and I'm talking to my good friend that I work with, and because I think I have my own like art store or something, because like we work together in this store, but like I sell my stuff there, and like she helps me runs it, so we're like partners. And she's like, how do you know he's gonna come back? How did you not know that there was like witchcraft afoot? Like, we were just like going over it. I'm like, I have no fucking idea. They are so strong. Like, this is something, I've never been up against something like this. She's like, girl, if I would have knew, we could have did some shit. And I'm like, no, I think this is something he has to figure out on his own. He has to find out, right? So we kind of like are bickering over that and chatting over that, and like as we're chatting, it's like the days are going by, and I'm sitting in the dock of our first date, every day at the same time for 6 months straight, right after work, just sitting there. And it's like, you can see, like I can see the moon and then the sun, the moon and then the sun, the moon and then the sun, and it's going down. And I'm like, and it's like the last month, and she's like, girl, he's not gonna show, he's not gonna figure it out. And I'm like, he'll figure it out, he'll figure it out, and he's gonna find it. He hasn't found it yet, what makes you, I'm like, just give it some time. And then it skips, and it's like the last week, it's like in the middle of the last week, so I'm guessing either Tuesday or Wednesday, and it's raining. Oh my god, it's like a rainy day, but like people for some reason are still walking on the dock. Like, this is a really big like hangout spot, and I have like this rain jacket on, and I have a cap on, and I guess I just got out of work, because like I have a handful of like pencils and pens for some reason, and instead of putting it in my bag, I'm like holding it in my hand. And I'm like, and then I like put the pens and pencils down on the chair, and I get up and I walk to the edge of the dock, and I'm just like watching the water, and I'm just standing there, and I'm just like scared that he's never going to come. And hearing people moving, coming on and off the dock. So I like phase out, where it's like just like this front one way view is clear and everything else is like foggy and out of focus, and I'm just watching the water, and I see like ducks and stuff, and I can feel like the sadness overflowing, and like I can feel my throat getting tight, and I'm like, I'm about to cry. This sucks. And then of course someone comes and walks and stands, and they just kind of put their elbows on the edge, and they're just standing like that on the edge, and I'm not paying attention because I'm like gone, focused, like, and like I can see their silhouette, and it's a man in a jacket and a cap, and then he turns around like that to look directly at me, and I'm still not, I don't see, because his face is like straight at me, and I'm just like and he goes like this to my hair, like he pushes it out of my face, and he's like, Ruby. And I turn around, and it's him, and he's smiling at me, and I'm like, I look around, and like there's still some people, and I'm like, oh my god, you're here, holy shit. And he's like, yeah, I found your letter. And I'm like, I do this thing in my dreams where I know I'm dreaming, but even when I know I'm dreaming, I'm still questioning if I'm dreaming. And so I touch things, like either clothes or my hair, or like the dock, like the wood from the dock. Like I can feel like the grittiness, and I can feel like if I press down, I'll have like a splinter or something. And like I was trying to feel the reality of what was going on, and I'm like, this isn't real. This isn't real. You're not real. This can't be happening. And he's like, I'm here. This is real. I found your letter. I forced my parents to tell me the truth. I can't believe they were doing this to me. And I'm like, while he's talking, I'm still like, and like the rain kind of slows down, and it's like a light drizzle, and the sun slowly is like going down, so the sun is like shining really nice, and like all the tiny little raindrops are like, they almost look like diamonds falling from the sky. And I'm like, this is not real, this is not real. And so he like grabs my face to look dead at him, and he's like, this is real, I'm here, we can finally be together, this is real. And he goes in to kiss me, and my alarm goes off, but like my brain is like, I can hear the alarm, but I'm still like in the dream. So it's like, it's narrating, and it's like I'm looking at us on the dock as I'm fading away, and the narrator is saying like there's more to the story. It's not just something's wrong with his brain. His mother put something like a curse or something in the part of his brain, and so to make it that the doctors can give him that pill so that she can be his like main caregiver, and the only way to get rid of that thing is not through pills, it's through magic. But no one's been like strong enough to get it out of the head. And I'm like, what the? And as I'm waking up, it was like a weird x-ray of his brain, and he's like, I don't know why she would do this to me, I don't understand, she's my mom. And it's like a glimpse of, it was like, it wasn't even like a doctor's office, because obviously the regular doctors, they can't see his brain on a regular x-ray, they can't see the magic, right? So it was like an alternative doctor's office that was in like the boondocks in the woods or something. And he's laid out, and there's like it looks like an x-ray machine, but it's made out of like roots, right? And tree roots and branches and shit. And okay, how can I put it? Like the what movie? Thor. When Jane has that red thing in her body, that thing, it kind of was doing that thing, right? It was like checking on his body, and they found like it looked like a tumor with like legs, and it was like in his brain, and it was just like kind of crawling in his brain, and that was like the last I can remember, and that was it. That's the whole dream. I know the dream is like wild, right? But all I can think of is that feeling of being in love. Like that feeling of having someone look at you in a way no one else can look at you. And I woke up like, damn, I miss that feeling. I miss that feeling so much. And then I'm like, damn, that story is crazy. That's a good story. Like, but yeah, I haven't had like a really long dream in a long time. So I had to get it down. I had to get it out of my head. I hope you enjoyed.